Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Quad City Chamber's Legislative Event Series. My name is Jake Ford. I am the Director of Government Affairs at the Quad Cities Chamber. Thank you for joining us this morning. A few updates first to keep you informed. We'll keep you updated on the latest happenings in DC, Springfield, and Des Moines here through our weekly e-news, so please sign up for that. Those will include details on the recently passed American Rescue Plan. There will also be details for you business owners and leaders about getting your employees vaccinated and the policies that will be coming down on that. Our bill tracker page on the Chamber's website is also live now and provides specifics into the bills that we're tracking that are important to you. We have a legislative feedback form that you can also fill out to tell us if you think we've taken the wrong stance on a bill, if you'd like to see us pick up another bill that we haven't talked about yet, or to provide any feedback on legislative sessions in Springfield and Des Moines. Today's event is sponsored by our Legislative Series annual sponsors. I'd like to give them a thanks. That is AM General LLC, Arconic, Exelon Generation, and Stanley Consultants. Thank you to all those sponsors and to all the viewers today for supporting this important Chamber event. Today, the Chamber is very excited to share with you Chad Pregracke's historic Bison Bridge project announced just last night. To introduce himself and the project, I'll turn it over to Chad.
All right. Before we begin, let's start the wave. Can you start the wave?
Start the wave?
Go ahead, start the wave. Let's do the wave. Boom. Bam. Loosens it up, folks. Haven't done that in a while, but so I really appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the interest from the Chamber and Marcy, Paul, everybody setting this up, and you guys participating today. It's a great opportunity to get the word out. What started out literally was an idea 20 years ago has really come a long ways. So anyway, it's the Bison Bridge project, and again, 20 years ago I had this crazy idea, and it's still crazy today, but I truthfully think that this crazy idea is exactly what this area needs with population loss, and among other things. I wouldn't say that this is a solve-all, but I certainly believe that this project is so unique that it will put us truly on the map. And I'm going to play you a short video pretty soon here, but just to give you a little bit preference, if you didn't see the video or the presentation last night, I'll condense this into 2-minute. And it's going to sound crazy, but that's what's really good, okay? Because that's what would make somebody think, I want to go see that for myself. So here we go. Westbound lane, I want dedicated to of the Interstate 80 bridge. By the way, if everybody doesn't know, they are building a new Interstate 80 bridge. We're not like proponents of the new bridge, but this is what's needed. This is what they're doing, and we don't know where the new one's going to be placed. But if it's placed in somewhere that allows us to keep the existing I-80 bridge, that's what we're going to utilize that hopefully for the benefit of the quality of life around the Quad Cities. But also as a destination for people to stop from all over the country. Interstate 80 is unique in so many ways, but there's 42,000 cars that are traveling on Interstate 80 a day, and to me, I live right by Interstate 80, right on the river. Those cars aren't stopping, they're barely getting gas. They're just driving on by, and to me, those are 42,000 impressions we can have of this area, and we're losing. It's 15 million a year. In 10 years, it'd be half the U.S. population just drives by the Quad Cities. And so we want to utilize and repurpose the infrastructure of the Interstate 80 bridge to do something so unique and so out of the box that people just have to not only stop, but they'll drive here as a destination, and they'll see the other wonderful things that all of you in the business community and beyond have made this place an amazing place. But the truth is, guys, we're not even on the map, not to be negative, but if you're 30 years old and you are under 30 years old and you live in Chicago, I can guarantee 9 out of 10 have never heard of the Quad Cities. And then the one that has probably couldn't place it on a map. And that's the thing, putting us back on the map. And this project, I think, will exactly do that. So not only are we wanting to save the land or save the bridge, but some of the land on each side for, here we go, this is where it gets crazy, got to see it to believe it, but we want to use that for a small herd of bison, or buffalo, people call them, and as a westbound lane, they can literally eat their way over to Iowa and eat their way back over to Illinois. Yes, I know what you're thinking, crazy, but again, You got to see it to believe it. You got to drive there. You got to stop. And so, and then the eastbound lane will be dedicated to people, and especially the people that live around here. We have about 400,000 people in the surrounding region here. We think this will be utilized in a great way. It would tie the entire Quad Cities bike path, walking trail all the way around. And so I think it'd be best just to play the video. But before we do, the bigger thing here is trying to get this project designated as a national park. And I know you're probably like, can an individual start a national park? But they can. There's been one done in 1960, and then most recently in 2017, the owner of Burt's Bees started one in Maine. And I believe that this is a worthy project, and you don't need thousands of acres, considering that the Arch Grounds is only 62 acres and is visited by millions. So let's roll this and know that National Park is on our mind to make this a destination. Here we go.
You have an opportunity to help create a brand new national park on the Mississippi River. Introducing the Bison Bridge project. Every day, 42,000 vehicles travel across the Interstate 80 bridge over the Mississippi River through the Quad Cities. In the near future, the current bridge is slated to be demolished and replaced by a new, modern bridge. Instead of blowing it up, we want to save the I-80 bridge. We will repurpose the bridge for the region, the river, and the country. We will turn it into a multi-use site for tourists, locals, and bison. Yeah, you heard that right, bison. We'll have a small herd of wild bison and a bison expert to manage them. And with approximately 100 acres of grazing land in Illinois and Iowa, the westbound lane of the Bison Bridge will serve as the longest man-made wildlife crossing in the world. The Bison Bridge will celebrate the Mississippi River, the prairie, the native wildlife, and the history that makes this region special. The Bison Bridge will improve the quality of life in the Quad Cities area and become a treasured destination for people from all over the world. Chad Pregracke, president and founder of Living Lands and Waters, has been working on this vision for 20 years. With your help, we can create the Bison Bridge. Now, all we need is your signature. Let's create a one-of-a-kind landmark to attract visitors for generations. Join the herd today. Like, share, and follow for more at bisonbridge.org.
Well, what a video and what an idea, Chad. That is very well put together. It really brings the idea to life. So I think that's a great way to kick off kind of our discussion here today. Before we get into the Q&A, I just want to bring in the rest of our panel here to introduce themselves and kind of how they fit into this idea. So I'll start with next to me in alphabetical order, Senator Neil Anderson, if you want to give some opening remarks.
Sure. Well, happy to be here. And Chad, thanks for all you do, not only with Living Lands and Waters, but what a great vision. I think people really need to focus in on the broad spectrum of this idea. And the Mississippi River is not only something everybody knows around the world, not only in the United States, but it is what makes the Midwest the Midwest. And we can talk all we want about economic value of this and bringing people, but to me, it's something that I think is what we've been missing a lot of, and that's bringing families together. Bringing families to come together to see something that they haven't seen in years, which are bison. It's just a great vision, and I really appreciate being here, appreciate being a part of this, and advocating for it as much as I can. So thanks, Chad.
Great. Next up, we have two members of the Foundation for the Bison Bridge. We'll start with Matt Hughes, who is a president and consultant of MRH Solutions.
Yeah. My name is Matt Hughes. I own my own consulting firm. I do infrastructure financing. Happened to go to college and high school with Chad. He called me a couple of years ago about this thing and had an idea. It was out of the box, to say the least, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. We've made a lot of progress, and although we're just announcing this thing publicly as of the last 24 hours, we've done a lot of work. We've touched a lot of bases on this thing. We've checked a lot of boxes. We've been talking to the community. And like I said, I've been doing this for 2 years, and I think we can get this accomplished if everybody helps us, and we're asking for that help as of today.
Thanks, Matt. I'm Kevin Marchek, and I've been working with Chad and Matt now for a couple of years on this project. Before that, I worked for the Illinois Department of Transportation for over 39 years. So I've got a little experience in that aspect, and I've been more or less tasked to help them move this project forward. It's a fantastic idea, a heck of a vision, and you know, we're just going to keep pushing this forward until it comes to fruition.
Great, Chad. I've got some questions to start, and for all of you out there who are watching live, please submit your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll get to as many as we can. I want to start with Chad. I know it's probably not your favorite question, but something always that comes up right away with a huge project like this. How do we pay for it? How do we start to get it done? Is this something that you're taking to the state of Illinois and Iowa and saying we need some funding for it, or could you kind of just lay out the funding plan for this?
So we're not looking for, and Matt can speak more to this, but we're not looking for public money. We're going to do it all private. And you know, I've spent a lot of time outside the Quad Cities. I've built great relationships with lots of people from around the country. And you know, when you're talking about a national park, people get excited about it. So, I mean, I really don't think that most of the money is even going to come from this area. I've vetted this, just like we've been working on it 2 years. I've, you know, behind the scenes said, hey, what do you think about this? If we got the green light on this project, would you support it? And I can tell you that we would be far off and running right out of the gate if we got the green light. So, you know, and when I pitched this to the board, Living Lands Waters Board of Directors, like 2 of them came up and instantly it's like, money is not going to be a problem for this. And I truly believe it. You know, I've had to raise a lot of money and just kind of get about maintaining it as well. So that is certainly in the plan. You can build something, but if you don't have money to maintain it, then so we're looking at 15 to 20 years of maintenance on it. And we're not announcing numbers. We've went over that because truthfully, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. And that's what this call is about. And we appreciate you doing this, is to help us. You know, we want to bring a lot of people together to help make this, figure out what the best sort of design would be and all that. So yeah, we think it's going to be done privately, and here's a great example: the St. Louis Arch, which, you know, national parks aren't thousands of, I mean, they're not all thousands of acres, and that, like, the St. Louis Arch is 62 acres, and that's it. And they just did a public-private partnership with the National Park Service. They built a brand new museum. It's a beautiful space, and it was $367 million. Do I expect this to cost that? Absolutely not. But it's a perfect example that there are big things happening in those sort of spaces. And so, you know, we think it's very doable, and there's examples that things like this have been done. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And Matt, if you want to add.
Yeah, I'll just point out, and I've been saying this for 2 years straight, part of one thing that I always bring up, I should have mentioned earlier, I was the CFO at Illinois DOT in a past life. I've been consulting for 7 years, but the money part of it is what I sort of specialize in, and part of our public financing is not part of this pitch. We're not asking the public for any public funds. We plan to raise enough money this through private partners. We know we've got maintenance and construction costs if we're going to achieve anything like what you've seen on the screen, but it's important to note that we're not going to the taxpayers and asking for money to finance this. I'd also point out that the Illinois DOT and the Iowa DOT are going to finance a new crossing at the Mississippi River.
Kevin, can you just talk about like what this actually, when it comes to money, could possibly save the taxpayers? Because this is like a win-win in so many ways, and you know, I think it's worth saying about that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Chad. Yeah, you know, this has the potential to save the state millions of dollars. You know, if you don't have to tear down and demolish the existing bridge while you build a new one, you know, that's going to save millions and millions of dollars. And also, you know, with the proposal here to provide for a multi-use facility, that won't require the department then to put one on the new structure. So that'll help save more dollars. And you know, you're talking tens of millions of dollars of potential savings there. So that'll be a huge benefit to the state too.
And Kevin, before we move on, could you also just talk about kind of the process of where are we getting in on, the transportation planning? Is this a good time to be hopping in and trying to get this done?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, this is actually an ideal time to start the process. The department is now beginning to look at their phase 1 development of the plans. So they'll look at, various aspects in order to complete the NEPA process, which, is the process developed to ensure that all aspects of the project are covered. So they'll look at things like, wildlife. They'll look at endangered species, historical significance, and things like that. So as they work through this process, they'll come up with several different alignments of where a new bridge could go. And that alignment may very well be right on the existing bridge. And if that happens, this project goes away. But if it doesn't, it opens up the opportunity for us to step in and save the existing bridge. So that's just getting started. They're making progress with that. We hope to, partner with them in a way that we can bring this project to a fruition. So in the end, this is an excellent time to do it. They're not so far along that they're beyond the point of us, getting inside and talking to them. So that's an excellent timing.
Great, thank you. And Chad, I want to go back to the idea itself. I mean, what the Chamber really supports about this idea is we're always looking for cool, new, unique places that are bringing people, that are bringing business and investment to the Quad Cities. Can you talk about it? I love how you talk about people are driving right through 80. If we give them a reason to stop, they will. It's kind of the if you build it, they will come type of mantra. Talk about kind of just what people would be able to do once they're actually physically there. Is there kind of programming? Is there history? How they could interact with the Bison? Is there other parts of this?
Thank you, but I liked what you said about, the families and the quality of life around here. That's what I truly see happening. I mean, with the wildlife viewing, no matter what age you are, everybody likes it. If you look at just Niabi Zoo's number, they're saying people are, will go check out, they'll drive out of the way to go view wildlife. I was just talking to them, and it was 2017, there was 185,000 people that went through their doors. Those are families going through there to check it out. And I think just, this project will have similar numbers from around this area, let alone be used as a bike path and walking path. And it's just as much about quality of life around here and connecting in one big loop the entire Quad Cities as it is about those 42,000, to me, lost opportunities that are just driving on by. And so, making this, as Lynn would say from Visit Quad Cities, she's drove this home with us, it's like to make this a destination. And if it is designated a national park, it would certainly be a designation. And we have so much other things to offer than just the bridge. The bridge is just to, get somebody here, and then they can experience all the other great things we have here, spend money here, put us back on the map. And I truly believe that this would do it. And, I'm just going to say one more time, it's a crazy idea, but we're far down the road beyond an idea. We're starting to really hone in on having a solid plan, and if we get the opportunity to do so, if the bridge aligns to wherever they align it, then we'll be off and running in a very big way, financially and everything. So, it's come a long ways, but it's been with a wonderful team of people, and I've been so blessed to have these guys helping navigate, how to make something like this happen, and not how to ruffle feathers, but work with people, not against. And just before this, we had a call with a lot of business owners and people in LeClaire, and we want to do this the right way and move it ahead. So yeah.
Absolutely. And Senator, could you add to that? A little bit, if we talk about what this would mean for the Quad Cities and really putting it on the map, what do you see the benefit being to your constituents, to the residents here? Obviously, it's part of it is families being able to experience it, but there's also, I think, some tax dollars that would come in. There'd be new investment, new businesses that are following. Can you just kind of describe what you think this would do for the region?
Yeah, so as a legislator, it's always the mindset of economic growth. The only way to get out of situations that you're in your state, whether it's debt or whatever it might be, is economic growth. So this is definitely a huge thing that we want to see to bring more people here. Or as Chad said, 42,000 people a day. Make them stop. Make them stop. Make them want to stop here, spend money, maybe even spend the night in one of our local hotels. You know, that combined with everything that we have going on in the Quad Cities that's already here and upcoming, whether it's the bike paths, you know, RAGBRAI is another big thing, the BICs, the new passenger rail that we've been working on. We have a lot going on here. And again, to reiterate what Chad said, we have a lot going on, but we just need people to stop and see it and enjoy it. And I can't think of anything better than having families drive through the Quad City area, stop and see something that they've never seen before, both as far as infrastructure and something native to the Midwest and Bison that have unfortunately been gone for far too long.
So Chad, you know, we're not asking anybody for their money. How can people get involved? How can they help? What's, you know, the next step for you guys? What are you asking the general public and everybody watching here to help you out with?
Thank you for that, because we really need signatures, and our goal is 50,000 signatures for people who want to see this project go. That'll help us, you know, just let IDOT know in Iowa and Illinois and feds that this is something that this project or this region wants, this area wants, and do try to take this project into account. So that's our goal. But we you know, I've built great relationships outside the Quad Cities, and one is Mike Rowe is going to be posting this, the guy from Dirtiest Jobs, and then Mike Wolf, obviously LeClaire resident. Talked to him about it. He's on our board, so we think we're going to get a lot of shares and likes, but we truly need that, and we need signatures. And so if you're out there listening to this, you know, please sign up, but, you know, tell your coworkers to sign up. Ask your employees if they like it. Show them the video. Go to bisonbridge.org, and yeah, and that's how this will help make that a reality. Otherwise, this, you know, probably won't happen. And so yeah.
And as far as what we need from the community, I'll let Kevin speak to the process, the NEPA process, but we're trying to influence a process that's about to get underway, which speaks to the timing of what we've built up to for 2 years, that now we have a project. We need the community, if you support this project, to indicate such publicly, either by visiting our website, signing up, but our plan is to go and participate in the process that the state is undertaking to understand what the community would like to see happen here, and we're trying to affect that process. So any engagement that you can offer with your companies, your employees, your families, anyone that you talk to on a daily basis, if they could sign up and indicate that they support this project. We're about to go through this process for this project.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Yeah, and here again, you know, the DOT is going to follow a process. They understand the process, and part of that process will be developing alternatives for various locations for the new structure. And they'll typically go to several public meetings, and we really need your support at those public meetings to voice your support for, you know, retaining the existing bridge and turning it over into the Bison Bridge. So that's going to be critical. We need that support at the public meetings, you know, to show that there's a grassroots effort to save that bridge. So that's going to be critical.
And Kevin, we've got a couple questions from online viewers. They're asking, do we know when the construction will start on the new I-80 bridge? Is there a plan already in place for that? Is that also part of the development here?
Yeah, it's all part of the development. So, you know, they go through basically 3 phases. The first phase, you know, is the purpose and need and development of alternatives, looking at the environmental impacts. The second phase is the design of the plans and to put together the specification and the contract documents. And then, of course, the third phase is the construction of the new bridge. You know, so you're probably looking at roughly 7 years down the line before you would see that. So it may seem like a long way, but time really flies when you start working on a project like this. And we're right at a perfect spot. We're at the very beginning, so that'll help us, you know, influence the process a little bit.
Chad, some of the other questions we've gotten, as you know, focus on the bison or the buffalo themselves. Folks are wondering where they would come from. Does anybody kind of come to the Quad Cities to take care of them? Can you talk about the animals themselves?
So, you know, I'm not a bison expert by any means. So what we did is we researched the top 5 bison experts in the country, and it's so cool. But we found a guy in Wyoming, Jason, and he couldn't be here last night or today, but he's coming to the Quad Cities. But He's also a land management, a couple master's degrees, just a fantastic guy. But he did something similar where he started a small herd, I think about 10 bison, and that's what we're talking about, not some massive herd, just a small herd out on his reservation, and it's been wildly successful. There's a movie about him, but the guy's fantastic and a great addition to this. If it would be managed by the national park, then certainly they hire their own. Where the bison would come from, like Dan Palmer from Tri-City Electric was here and was like, hey, you know, he has 160. He had a herd of 300. He's like, whatever you need. But Jason has also said that he works with the National Wildlife Foundation, and there's a lot of opportunities for different bison, and I think they, you know, kind of move them around. And anyway, I'm not an expert by any means. I really appreciate the animal and the history it has to North America, and should be celebrated. And again, the bison is one part, but it's really the Mississippi River that's the main focus here. And then also, not to go way out there, but all the different cities, you know, Davenport and Rock Island, Moline, all of them have really concentrated on the riverfronts. Bettendorf's building theirs up. Like, this is just a centerpiece, like a loop that ties them all together, and without actually having it in one city. And so it's kind of I think a really cool piece of the puzzle, I would say, you know.
We've also got a question. Is there any chance of a possible partnership with Niabi Zoo? And this kind of dovetails to my next question. Was you guys have been working on this for a long time. Can you talk about the other partners that you've had? I mean, kind of the legwork you've done even to just get to here to introduce this project?
We're certainly not there yet, but I wouldn't rule it out. I have talked to them, and you know, I'm willing to work with anybody who wants to make this happen. And I mean, so.
I mean, part of what we were asking for last night with a room with some people in it, and also online viewership, was help. I mean, if you've got a skill set, or if you can add to the team, we're not closing people out of this thing. We're asking the community to step up, help us out. Let's figure out what the community needs, what they want, what they don't want as part of this proposal. And I mean, early on we started getting questions about bison.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us could answer any of these questions, so we got to work and we figured out who could help us with that. He joined the team, and we think we've got that base covered too. But we need help and assistance, and the community needs to talk to us. The business community needs to talk to us for us to be successful.
Yeah. And just to say on a higher level, like, you know, I'm not a dreamer. You know, like I'll you know, I have an idea, and how do we get there, and who are all the people that can make it happen, and you know, so I just don't think like this is such some crazy idea. We're pretty far down the road, and comfortable enough to know that this does have legs and is viable and doable, and so that's why we launched it yesterday. Plus the timing, as Kevin spoke to, is like perfect when it comes to the new alignment, and as he said, if that bridge goes right over the old bridge, then this project's dead. Then so be it, and that's what it is. But if it doesn't, and we have the opportunity, then we are going to hit the ground running and try to make this happen and literally put the Quad Cities back on the map.
Great. We've also had some questions, and I'll try to condense them into one. Can you talk about the area around the bridge itself? I mean, I know you described kind of the acreage around it, but what would that land outside of the bridge? We've got the bridge, but then right around surrounding it, that area would be developed again. What would that area be used for?
So the area around it would be used for grazing for the bison. It's not like they're just trapped on the bridge. Some people thought it was just on the bridge, but it's actually the land. Illinois has more land over there to use, but Iowa certainly does, and that's where the clover leaves are now, and the land around that. But so yeah, it's really a bigger thing than just the actual saving the bridge. But yeah.
Yep. And I think Matt and Kevin, this might be for you. We've had some questions about, is there a plan for changing the interstate access to the new bridge? Has any of that been talked about yet?
No, none of that's been determined. You know, we're too early in the game, so, you know, I can't even predict what type of bridge it'll be. You know, they'll be looking at all this in the first phase. So that's really the beauty of where we're at. We're right at the beginning, so a lot of those factors haven't been determined yet.
And we've talked about the signatures and the public hearings. A question we've gotten is there someone that makes the final decision on this? Is there an end thing that would say yes or no, or is it really just a process and bringing in multiple different governmental partners?
Yeah, it's a process, but in the end, you know, it's the DOTs working with the federal government to to determine which is the best alternative. They have the final say. So, of course, they have the money. Most of the bridge funding will come from the federal government, so they have oversight on the project, and they ultimately have the final say so.
And Chad, I think people are kind of wondering again how we got to this point. Did you guys look at other bridges? Was there other kind of places where this could have happened? How'd you settle on this bridge itself?
Well, this would be the only bridge like it in the world, which is great. But certainly saving a bridge is nothing new. In 3 of the places I've lived through my work at Living Lands and Waters, moving the barges, different cities, living in those places for extended periods of time, has really kind of been eye-opening. Cincinnati, Ohio has the Purple People Bridge. 1 million people in the first year went across that. And then you have Chattanooga, Tennessee, with a population of only 179,000 still. 1 million people went over that bridge in the first year. That's not right next to a major interstate that can see it. It doesn't have bison or trees on it or anything like that. So, and then the other one is Louisville, Kentucky, which is, I've spent a lot of time in Louisville. It is truly one of the centerpieces of the entire 2 cities right there on the Ohio River. They took a train bridge that was built in 1886, I think it was abandoned for 75 years. They fix it up, and it is truly amazing. It's where if your cousins come in town, or your aunt comes in town, or your grandma, whatever, it's where you go with your family, and it's a scene. People are playing drums, playing guitars, painting, skating, whatever. It's very well received. It's where people jog and exercise, ride bikes. It's just where you take a date. It's a quality of life to a T. And if this was half as successful as that, granted, there's no interstate next to that, having 42,000 cars go across it. So I think this would work in so many ways. Just in so many ways, it would do a lot for this area. And yeah.
So you talk about, being a great date night spot. One of the other questions we got, is there a possibility of a venue going in there, kind of a restaurant, anything like that would be on the bridge itself, or is that kind of too far in the weeds now of asking where we would end up?
I mean, anything is possible. Certainly the national park will if that happens, they have their own vending rules, and they do lease out spaces. I know, just judging from the arch grounds and all of that. I mean, anything is possible. And as Matt spoke to, we need more people on this team. We have a small amount of people doing a lot, and we've been driving it really good. But if you got a talent, you have something at your business that would be advantageous to moving this forward. If you like this, we need your help. We need your input, positive or negative, whatever the thoughts are. We need to be able to do this right. And we have one opportunity. If this doesn't happen, they blow the bridge up, it's done, And even if they build another bike path on the new bridge, what's the experience like? Nothing like what this would be. You're really riding your bike or jogging next to, semis going 75 miles an hour loaded. And, it would be a completely different deal. So in so many ways, I think this is positive. And hey, the thing is, I would never waste anybody's time. I value my time. I value your time, everybody's time. If I thought this was a waste of time, I'd never want to push this forward, So I believe in this, and I truly believe that this is going to happen. And we've got a long road ahead of us, and we need all the help we can get for sure. But I want to throw a shout out for these 2 dudes right next to us, because they definitely have helped us get to where it is now, to be able to be up here on stage. And so, yeah.
Before we wrap up, one of the last questions we got, I don't know if there's been any kind of economic study done. I think this would bring some jobs if people are going to have to be, working on the bridge to redevelop it. I'll throw that out to anybody who might be able to answer. What do we think possibly could come from this in terms of economic impact?
I'll just speak to that. That's a consideration that the NEPA process will take into account. It's also a consideration that we need help developing that business case so that we can be at the table when those public meetings happen, and we can tell the story of what the economic model could look like if they were to do this. I mean, we need them to consider it more so, or as much as possible, and any help and any assistance. I know the chamber does these type of things. We certainly have talked to you guys about helping us, and that's a way that I think you guys can help us, either with the chamber directly or with some members of yours, to maybe build that case out and get it in front of them as they make the decision.
And I'll say too, we know what the economic impact will be if it's not there. It's going to be nothing. It's going to be neutral, right? So we can only go up, and the fact that it's not at the expense of taxpayers, it's a positive.
In our studies we did internally, it came up for the economics of it. It came to a shitload of money. So there it is, right? It's pretty solid. There it is.
Yeah, and I just want to close, Chad, with, I know this has come up too, and another positive of this project is the environmental impact. Can you just kind of close with telling us, as you guys make this pitch, it's an environmental plus, if I'm not mistaken. So if you guys can talk about the environmental side of it.
Just a little more technical, because environmental actually feeds into why this would be possible. Can you speak to that a little bit, Kevin, with the process of NEPA and all that?
Yeah, well, and that's the NEPA process will look into the environmental impacts of the new structure. You know, what we hope they do is also look into the aspect of what the Bison Bridge can provide for those environmental impacts. You know, so you know how does the Bison Bridge impact the local environmental area? You know, what does it have on the wildlife? You know, and we look at to see that as a positive impact. You know, not a negative. You don't see a lot of structures with a lot of green on them, and that's really what we're hoping to prove, that this Bison Bridge will provide a lot of those needs for the environmental side of the document.
Can I just say one thing real quick before we wrap it up? First of all of your members, I just want to thank them for, people talk about jobs, and your members truly bring jobs and work really hard to continue to make our community as good as it has and add for a great quality of life around here. So thank you to all your members, and thanks for being the chamber. And I think right where we sit in here today is a perfect example. And Larry Anderson has taken this old decrepit building that most people would say, tear that thing down, and what he did is he put a lot of money into it, and it's such a nice facility. And if you haven't been over here in East Moline to check out the Rust Belt and the coffee shops and all the salons and everything that has went in here, it is truly amazing. Something that should have been tore down is something that adds such a quality of life aspect to the Quad Cities. And so a shout out to Larry and all the business owners and all the people who work hard around here to make the Quad Cities what it is. And hopefully with everything we talked about today, we'll only add to all of that. So thanks for making this happen. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chad and Kevin, Matt, Senator Anderson. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. We're encouraging the chambers, everyone, to go to bisonbridge.org and sign this petition. As Chad said, tell your friends, tell your employees, tell your colleagues. This is something Chamber wholeheartedly supports, that we think, as we talk placemaking and quality of life, will really transform the Quad Cities, and as Chad says, put it on the map. So right now they're just asking you to sign online. I think that's a pretty easy ask, and continue to talk about this and get it out in the public for us. So later today, if you're watching online, you'll also be getting an email from the Chamber asking you to take a quick survey. That helps us know how we're doing with our events, and you'll be entered to win a quick $25 gift card. So if you could do that, we'd really appreciate it. The email will also include the link to the Bison Bridge petition and recording of this event, so you can share that as well with your friends if they weren't able to join us last night or this morning. Before closing, I just want to thank our Legislative Series annual sponsors one more time: AM General LLC, Arconic, Exelon, and Stanley Consultants. And again, thank you, Chad, for coming and putting this on and really getting it out into the community. Thanks to our panelists. And please join us again. Our next legislative event series will be April 9th at 9 a.m. We'll be sharing updates from Washington, D.C. That forum will feature newly elected Representative Marionette Miller Meeks, so you'll get to meet her as well. In the meantime, please register for that at quadcitieschamber.com, and have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.